Okay.
Good. So,
Yeah.
would you like to tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey?
Yeah. So ever since I was young, like since I was a kid, I
Mm.
think I was like open to this idea of like open to new ideas generally.
Yes.
I would say I am that like that right now as well.
Hmm.
Like and I don't really know. So I've read some like spiritual books when I was little, like when I was 12 or something, and everything just made sense.
Hmm.
And since then I was like um, in my teenage period, maybe like when I was 18 to 20 or something, I read Eckhart Tolle's
Yes.
books, yeah, and at that time it didn't like um, stick with me that much,
Hmm.
but yeah, I would say that the real like seeking began like 1.5 year ago, maybe.
Hmm.
It was because I was having a difficult time, I think. And one time I just, when I was walking, I just realized that I could, like, I was doubting one of the thoughts that came in, and it was how it began. Like, it was a, a person went like went past me, and I instantly thought that he was like looking at me because I was like looking so ugly. But it's just a silly thought, and but I was like I was believing in that thought, and then in the next second I was like, why would I think that?
That's a crazy thought. That's such an inverted thought. That's
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah, so after that, I was like, because I knew like uh, I was familiar with Eckhart Tolle. I just uh, and he posted a lot of videos on YouTube as well. So that's how I began listening to him again, like, and reading his books. And after a while, I moved on to other teachers like Adia Shanti and um, like what was yeah. So one thing that helped me really much was like this. How do you say this? What is the name of it? Like Heildåsken. Uh,
So the Sedona method.
yeah, the Sedona method. Yeah, so it was the Sedona method, Lester Levinson,
Mm.
and also I obviously read The Greatest Secret and everything. So after that, I just stick to the how do you say the Sedona method, and really, and I was like releasing negative thoughts and everything. And I feel like it has helped me to detach from like my feelings
Mm.
and thoughts. Like it's not who I am. Like it's
Mm.
I don't instantly. It helped me to like yeah detach from it.
Mm.
So yeah, so after yeah, so and then I found you, and I was and also then non-duality teachings, and I
Mhm.
was like at first like I didn't get it, I think, and like just last month or something I was like I'm starting to get it, like because I thought it was like I didn't know what was the distinction between other teachings and the non-duality teachings.
Mm.
but I think I understand it now because it's like um, I don't know if I have it correct, but it's like non-duality is everything is okay, and like every how do you say like um, I don't I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, it's really hard to like put it into my own words. I guess I was like resonating when I was listening to
Mm,
other
mm,
teachers, and I started reading like John Wheeler's book, and I
mhm.
think he has a good like clarity and all like, and I had like a lot of experiences like of I don't know how to say like it's just um, the the unity consciousness. I think it's called like
Yes.
everything is so light and simple, and
Hmm.
your mind is quiet.
Hmm.
And I had like a lot of that those experiences,
Great.
but I think like from um, I think I have the understanding and some clarity, but not the like not the ultimate clarity. And I remember like one of the John Wheeler's videos, he was telling that he believed that watching other people, it's just like watching other people's journey in a snapshot,
Mm.
but it's really important to uh, like get to um, how do you say get answer to your specific questions,
Yes.
something like that. So I really I think yeah. So I believe that. So that's why I'm here, I guess.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it's good. Well, the experiences you've had, they're very, very deep, actually. That's a really good sign. And but it's good you're following your own guidance because that's really how realization becomes clear. Because if we, sometimes we can just stay with one teacher and we can be with them for a long time. But if you follow your own guidance, it's much more reliable that way. So have you watched some of the recordings on my channel, on my YouTube channel?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've watched many of them, like and a lot of conversations.
Hmm.
And just today, I watched like the uh, one interview with Nina,
Oh yeah.
um, like
Hmm.
twice. I think I watched it, and then um, I also watched this knowledge, like how do you like the sovereign being,
Hmm.
the cautious, and what was the other one? Like the yugas,
Yes.
and also the Gnostic science. Like this video, I also watched because you recommended it one in one of your
Yes.
conversations with a woman. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Did
so
you,
I
did you watch that one, did you? What did you make of it? Because it's a bit far out, isn't it, really?
yeah, it's like I said, I'm really open to
Hmm.
new ideas. So
Great.
I'm just like, yeah, it could be like that, something like that, because like the Christian religion is very constitutionalized.
Yeah.
How do you say it? It has its boundaries, and it has a really much power, and it has had so much power in the past. So I'm sure that there are things that we don't know
Hmm.
about that religion,
Yes.
and there are like many like stories behind like to to make sense of this world,
Hmm.
like because we don't know anything about it really.
No.
We have a lot of story. It feels like we have a lot of stories, and it just makes us feel safe
Yes.
because of the common stories.
Yes.
So it's kind of falling apart at this moment, I guess, like for very many people in this world.
Mm,
Uh, but I think it's good. Like it's we don't really know that much. We just know what we're told,
mm.
but we shouldn't like be uh, going for it
Yeah, not believing
hundred
it all.
percent. Like yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
my approach is not to believe anything, but to be open to everything, because um, if we believe in things, then we're limiting our experience. And but being open, then we can review everything, but no, we're not going to ultimately believe it. But there are just a few things kind of experientially and in a particular sequence which have evolved to give a clear idea of the way the dualistic realm functions. And so, anyway, we can have a look at a few things, but I'd like to just begin to see where you are, if we could, please. That would be good. What I'd like to do is to just see um, how things are in terms of the knowing of your true nature, if we could have a little look at that. So, have you seen any of the conversations where the distinction between impersonal being and the personal realm is discussed? Do you have any? Yeah.
yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the practice where you like just take in what you're aware of,
Yes.
and then engage the mind,
Yeah.
and engaging the mind is get it's there's an effort to that, I
Yes.
guess. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. uh,
So
I
you've
have
been
seen that, so I have a understanding, and I have like practiced it by myself.
good. Good.
But I don't know. It's like I get it, but then the mind comes in and just wants something to do, and just starts asking questions or
Mm,
whatever.
mm.
Yeah.
But it sounds as, yeah, it's really good that you're able to just function from effortless being. So you can just notice forms arising at any moment. So are there any thoughts arising in this moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I feel a little bit stiff in
Mm.
my shoulders. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to understand this.
You will very easily.
Yeah.
So
Or yeah, so many thoughts are coming in.
that's okay. Well, we could just say there's effortless awareness of some thoughts appearing.
Yeah,
And are there any emotions at the moment?
yeah, joy,
Good.
and a little bit like stiffness and nervousness, I think.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And have you tried using impersonal language? So because the way we step into duality really is when we activate the personal mode. So that's why the word individuality is as it is. It means in, divide, and dual. So when we when we're using words like I and me and mine, then we're creating a sense of separation and individuality. But if we take, for instance, the slight stiffness in the shoulders, that can be experienced either personally or impersonally. So the personal mode, excuse me, is just to say, oh. my shoulders feel quite stiff today.
Mm.
But impersonally, because what we all remain as is impersonal being. It's so subtle that it's sort of overlooked, really. But it's the simplicity the um, of just noticing the forms arising, and we can see it clearly if we use impersonal language. So if we take the sensing of the stiffness in the shoulders, if we use words like there is impersonal, effortless awareness of some stiffness in the shoulders, um, then we're knowing it from impersonal being rather than adopting a personal mode of experience. So I can sense you're clear on that. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great. That's really good. Because impersonal being is what has been all along. And
yeah.
how do I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, the correct way is Ariun.
I might struggle with
Yeah,
that.
but yeah, you can say Ariun.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Great. Um, well, that's really good. So I might see if I can avoid trying to pronounce your name. Um, so so really just noticing any forms appearing, they're actually appearing to the infinite impersonal being, which you've always remained as, because there is the character, and
Yeah.
the character is a mode of experience. It's like a character in a play, and the storyline is that the character lives in Stockholm, is married, has a child, um, and um, and that exists in the personal realm of experience. But actually, what's knowing everything all along is impersonal being, and it isn't anything new. It's what has been there all along. It's just that we've been told that we're actually knowing it on a personal level. But the simplicity of effortless awareness and impersonal awareness is that we can see that it is impersonal, effortless awareness, which is always aware. And
Mm.
as John Wheeler says, everything is actually being registered in awareness rather than being registered in the personal mind. So,
Mm.
so it's great you see that, because that actually is realization. Because when we see the distinction between impersonal being and
Yeah.
there is also a personal mode of experience, then that's actually realizing that we've remained as the impersonal being and that the personal mode is optional, because you can adopt that. So when you're alone,
Yeah.
um, there is simply the resting as effortless being, and the forms are arising, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations. If you're with your husband, or if you're with friends or family or meeting people, then it's actually in the personal mode, because we can only use the personal mode. Then we can't really use impersonal language because it could be quite confusing.
Yeah.
But it's really just seeing the simplicity of impersonal awareness, and it's actually always fully present, and then seeing that the mode of um, personal experience is an option, which is it's always there, and you can adopt that mode whenever you wish to, and it's what you've been doing all along. But the distinction is there now to remain as impersonal being, and the benefit of that is that it's energetically it's much more economical, because effortless being is what we fundamentally are.
Mm.
But the personal realm is something which we kind of fuel with our energy. So it takes effort to speak, it takes effort to think, it takes effort to move or to act. And so the more we learn that we can function from effortless being, we're actually aligning with our infinite nature then. So in terms of the koshas, we're aligning with with effortless being, with infinite intelligence. and then moving in the direction of bliss as well. And your ability to access happiness is very strong, actually. I can just sense that. And it's really nice you've retained that because even, for most of us growing into adulthood, um, there's an invitation to become much more conceptual and much more serious, but you still have access to, that very light energy, which is really good. So, so let's just take a little example. If we take, let's take the example of form arising in this moment, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you've seen this demonstrated, but um, if you could just give an example of something fairly constant in this moment, so it could be a sound, or it could be the light, or it could be a
Yeah.
sensation.
Yeah, I can sense the shoulders up. And also, like, when I look out the window, there's a tree,
Mm,
and the wind on the tree is like moving the branches and the
yes,
leaves. I guess it's
good,
fairly constant.
good. That's a nice example. So, so we could say that there is effortless impersonal awareness of the tree and of the movement of the branches and the leaves.
Yeah.
And it's knowing that you always have the ability to function from impersonal being, because we can either we can either perceive the tree from our infinite nature, which is just from neutrality, where we're not engaging the mind in any way, that it's just the direct knowing. And you could say there's effortless impersonal awareness of the tree. So the tree is fully known, the movement of the branches and the trees is fully
Mm.
known, and it's um it's effortless, or almost effortless anyway, because it's just it's just what's arising. The
Yeah.
perception of the tree is just arising. And in non-duality, they sometimes say, oh, it's arising for no one, because you're not actually present as a person to know it. You don't need to be present as a person to experience that, because it's just being there's just the simple clear awareness which is being registered directly in infinite being. So that really is that's functioning from effortless being. And to function from effortless being, you remain in your infinite impersonal nature. And
Mm.
the option, when you kind of stabilize that, when you become more familiar with it and you can see that it is um, effortless being, and while you can already, I can sense, and also in the way you've described things, that there is already total clarity in functioning from effortless being. It's something that you can do at will, really. There's the option to just rest as effortless being and allow the forms to appear in this timeless moment, or you could engage the personal mode or the conceptual mode. Um, so could you just mention a few things arising in this moment? So you could say there's effortless awareness for the tree, the movement of the branches and the leaves, effortless awareness of the computer screen, of the
Yeah.
voices.
Effortless awareness of people passing by.
Mm,
Effortless awareness of sun
mm,
um, on the tree,
mm,
on the trees, and on the buildings, and effortless awareness of um, the air. I don't know. The air in here is a little bit colder, I think.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Do
Cold.
you, that's good. Do you sense um do you sense the forms arising in a field of awareness? So if you take, for instance, there could be a awareness of thoughts arising, and then there could be awareness of emotions, and they seem to be quite close. And then you could say there's awareness of the computer screen, which is a bit further away in this infinite field of awareness, because you remain as an infinite field or ocean of awareness, which is just everywhere. It's infinite. There aren't any boundaries to it. And then
Okay.
forms appear in that as waves. So there's the body mind appearing. There's a sense of locality which is available with the body mind as well. That's like a little.
Yeah. So yeah, the location in the body is like the main point.
Mhm.
Like because I have this body and I function from this body,
Yeah.
specific body. So that's why it feels like it's the center of the
Yes.
universe or something.
Yeah. Well, the body mind is it's like a vehicle with sat nav, and so it's when you take delivery of the vehicle at birth, it comes with a sense of localities in the same way as a vehicle does. So, with the sat nav, it says, "Oh, you're in this street in Stockholm." The body comes with that facility as well. It's like a sat nav sense of locality, and there's a feeling, "Oh, I'm in this room."
Yeah.
But that is actually just that's just an aspect of the functions available with the physical technology. So there's the
Okay.
so
So
the
it's like this AI tool, like
yes,
where I have this goggles on
yeah,
and it feels like I'm here.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's very
Yeah.
convincing, but it's only an interface really, because you're
Okay.
the infinite impersonal being. So you're actually resting as the infinite field of awareness. You can't be anything other than that, but you can take delivery of a body mind which has a sense of locality which is built in. But that sense of locality doesn't actually obscure your infinite nature as the infinite ocean of beingness, because there is still perception of everything arising. The sun is arising within the infinite ocean of awareness you've always been. And the reason there's awareness of it is because you are where that sun is.
Yeah.
Everything is arising as a wave within the infinite ocean of awareness you will always remain as.
Yeah. I think like I know that distinction. And it feels good to be like um to to just be.
Yes.
It feels good. Um, but then there is like some things like it's just like you say, like it's obscuring, like the body is obscuring the infinite, and um, the mind is obscuring and makes this experience more convincing.
Mm.
um, yeah.
But
But yeah,
I can
but I
sense
don't. Yeah.
because you're smiling, you're not completely believing in it. Really, the body mind is giving a sense of reality, but it's a virtual reality. And when you rest as effortless being, when you're resting as the infinite field or infinite ocean of awareness
Yeah.
within, and all the forms are arising as waves within the ocean you've always remained as, then the body is less convincing. So it's like the scenery starts to shake a little bit. It isn't quite so convincing as it was before.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
great though. So
Sometimes it's really convincing, and sometimes it's not really convincing.
hmm,
But um, but if I feel it's something is rushing me, or I think it's in those situations where you're scared or
hmm,
rushed,
hmm,
then you tend to believe like 100% on this reality. And
yes,
but you can just like know it and deny, like, and how do you say, not accept the invitations
Yes.
also, so that that is always available. And I know, like, I know how to deny. How do you say it? It's not called
De-
deny, right? It's called
Decline.
decline. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I know how to decline those invitations also.
fantastic.
So I don't know what the problem is really.
Well, there isn't one, especially as you've made that distinction, because it's knowing that there are two sources of intelligence. So effortless being is aligned with God or the infinite being. So that's a benign intelligence. It's actually taking care of you. It's a combination of infinite intelligence with infinite love. But the intelligence arising in the dualistic realm is intelligence without love, as it's described in that Gnostic video. So the way the dualistic realm works is that it wants to put you into energetic compromise. It wants you to be hurried, it wants you to be tired, because the invitations can be accepted more then. But what
Yeah,
that does is it's like changing the channel, because when you're resting as effortless being, then you're in alignment with God or the infinite being. But then the dualistic realm wants you to switch the channel to the demiurge channel.
yeah,
Because when you switch to the demiurge channel, then your energy is plugged in, and you become affected by the content. So it's inviting you to identify with the personal realm. So where there's a sense of hurrying or tiredness, then the clarity isn't there so much. But it's because you know that there are these two different modes, then you're already free of it, really, because um, even if you are tired or even if you're hurried, there's
yeah,
a knowing, well, actually, this is what happens if I'm tired or hurried. It's a bit like this is what happens if I have 10 pints of lager. There's a knowing
what
of
is
the,
that?
uh, well, if you get drunk, if you have a lot.
Oh yeah, lager. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So So it's just realizing that there are implications. If you're involved in those activities, then that tends to be the result. So
yeah,
so it's good. Firstly, it's knowing that being hurried is an aspect of the dualistic realm, because it's the dualistic realm which wants you to be hurried, because it puts you into confusion, and
yeah,
it creates a sense of vulnerability to the dualistic energy system. Whereas being rested and functioning from your sovereignty, where you accept, well, actually, I'm the infinite being. I deserve, a level of rest and a level of simplicity and
yeah,
a level of ease. So,
yeah,
so you don't permit circumstances to dictate being hurried, because there isn't any authority which, can actually inflict that on you ultimately. There are lots of organizations which pretend they have the authority to do that, but none of them do, because you're the sovereign infinite being. And so as you discover that, then it's easy to decline the invitation.
yeah,
But it's great you see that distinction, really. There's such clarity. It's great.
yeah. I think there is, like, there are things that makes me tired and makes me hurried,
Mm,
like rushed, and things. A lot of invitations come in,
mm.
uh, but I just like, it's also like a coping mechanism. I think, like, just taking one day at a time. And I think you said it in one of your videos also, like, just like focusing on having a good day, or
Yes.
like, yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
so what, wherever you are, you just have, just I just like to think that this day is all I have, or something like that. Like,
Yes.
and it's also like, reality, it seems like it's this moment is all you have,
Yeah.
but because I just I think it's just easier for me to think this day, I think,
Well,
because you
definitely,
tend
yeah.
to like plan your days and
Yes,
like
well,
in
you're
the
not
morning.
you're not making it a kind of obstacle to your happiness or anything. You're saying, well, this is, this is a really great opportunity. And having that sense, especially in terms of close relationships, so your relationship with your husband and with your child, and with your friends and whatever you're doing, or even if you're working, just to have that feeling that you can give it full attention. And what you find then is that because you're the sovereign being and you're adopting that mode of life being effortless and timeless, then you find the experiences match that much more. Whereas if we take the invitations into tiredness or being hurried, then we tend to find we don't have enough time and we're always hurried because really there's a saying we project our beliefs and they return to us as our experience. So if we're projecting the idea that life can be balanced, that it can be joyful and loving, and um, if we do that, actually, there's the intelligence of one's infinite nature will come in and structure that for you. So it's quite a childlike way of being in a way because our objective is just for life to be as joyful and light as possible, and our infinite nature will guide us and it will provide the circumstances. The more we allow it to come in, then the more it is available. But it is like having these two channels. There's the channel of our infinite, loving, joyful nature, and then there's the demiurgic energy harvesting system channel. And we it's a pretty easy choice, really. But unfortunately, most people don't realize that they're distinct frequencies which are available. So it seems very confusing. But as we realize, and the way you've detected that distinction very easily, and you can decline the invitations,
Yeah,
and so
I
it
think it's like uh, I read somewhere that there are like two types of people who some think that they can affect like their life or experience,
mm,
and some that doesn't think that everything is dictated
yeah,
from other forces.
yes,
So I'm really like I really believe in that you can dictate your own
yes,
life.
exactly,
So so I think maybe a lot of like seeking people are this way also. Maybe that's
yes.
why they seek. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, what really is the way seeking emerges is in the human realm, we tend to be programmed into seeking in some way. So with the education system, it programs us to be seeking things like, a good job or a career or um, a marriage or relationship or all of the conventional things really. Um, and quite often when those experiences have been exhausted, when people haven't found happiness in those realms, then they sometimes move on to spiritual seeking. It seems for you though that you found a really nice balance. It seems as though your your marriage and being a mum is something which suits you. You don't seem to be carrying any burden of that at all. It seems to be very harmonious.
Yeah, it is. Um, yeah. I think like I prioritize things because I don't want to live like another 30 or even 10 years and to discover that this world doesn't give me what I want.
Mm,
So I just like I want to understand the reality
mm,
now because
yes,
yeah, because now I have the opportunity, and yeah, it's like I have, when I'm listening to myself, I have a very strong belief that I am a person.
Well, it's really all it is. It's it's just like a script, and
Yeah.
what I sense, which is really clear, is that you're actually resting as the infinite impersonal timeless being. And but it's only because I made reference to your personal circumstances. You know, I just had this feeling that your relationship and your home life just seems very harmonious. You
Mm.
don't seem to be, you know, there doesn't seem to be any emotional disturbance really. But because I mentioned that, that was almost like an invitation into the personal mode. So as you
Yeah.
started speaking, you were speaking as a person rather than just speaking from your infinite nature. But that's all it was. It was just a little mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you like um because I think this distinction like is on what is, because I was today, earlier today, I was thinking about what questions I should ask you and everything about this meeting, and I was thinking like, is spiritual seeking some kind of like um, escape from reality, or sort of like, this is like I'm seeking happiness in the world. It doesn't work, but then I'm seeking like escape uh, to spiritualism, because that's all there is. Um, uh, in my field of awareness, like consciousness. So I was thinking about that, and then I think I found my answer, because and then I was like, there was a lot of like voices, like thoughts coming in, this is right, this is wrong, like am I a strange person, like this. a lot of a lot of thoughts were coming in, but then I realized that what I'm seeking is like, is the distinction between like what is real and what is not, is because it's like um, the experiences and the thoughts, they come and go, right? So they are transient.
Yes.
I've never said that word before, transient, like they come and go. And then and then this sense of being present and existing and being aware,
Mm.
it's constant.
Yes.
So that's why this is the reality. So I think I just like, and then I just like, yeah, I answered my own question, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. And just the clarity there is is fantastic because knowing oneself as presence, awareness, existence, knowing that that's permanent, but knowing that everything is transient, that's full realization. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, so the longer I think on one subject, it just gets more messy, and
Yes.
it's not meant to be understood. Like, it's just
No.
meant to be taking my attention.
Yes. Well,
So
with
so
with the seeking, really, well, I can only speak from my experience, really. I'm not saying this is true, but um, the tendency is that people are involved in seeking in a worldly sense. But because most people their consciousness is aligned with a dualistic intelligence source, so what tends to happen is that the seeking in a worldly sense switches to seeking in a spiritual sense, but it's still actually energetically depleting because if we're seeking in the world, then we're in service to the dualistic realm and we're in service to individuality. If we're seeking in a spiritual sense, we're actually still in service to individuality because it's maintaining the idea that it is, you know, that there is a person who is seeking. for you, you're beyond that though, because you've seen that you're the presence, awareness, existence within which it's all appearing, and all of the content, um, is all transient. It's coming and going, but you're remaining as the ever-present, infinite, timeless being. And
Yeah.
so that's really when the seeking comes to an end, then the energetic investment in either seeking in the world or seeking in spiritual sense also, that just comes to an end. And that's when it becomes really playful, because it's having that sense of adventure and just prioritizing the daily experience. So not doing things in a hurried way, just having full love and appreciation for everyone and everything around you, like your family situation, living in a beautiful city, everything that's available to you. It's just having that sense of openness. But also, what I would say for you is there is definitely an opportunity to share this knowledge with others, because there's such great clarity there that, I'm hoping people will begin to come forward and you can share this knowledge with them, because it is definitely very clear. And but it's something you don't need to initiate. It's really the way those things evolve is really just focusing on your life being as nice as it possibly can, just as it is at the moment. So everything you have, because there is presence, awareness, existence, and then there are the present circumstances. But things can evolve from there, and it's as we align with the infinite being,
Mm.
then the infinite being begins to guide you, because you've actually become free of the dualistic realm. The dualistic realm wants everyone to remain in seeking mode, because individuality there is serving the dualistic system, whether it's seeking in a worldly sense or a spiritual sense. But when we go beyond seeking, then it's really just being in alignment with our infinite nature and being in service to our infinite nature, because that's really the way life can become very magical, because things just come to you. And it's really, for you, I would say it's your life purpose, probably. You would know that inwardly, but there's something very powerfully there which you brought into this life with you, and just allowing that to reveal itself.
Yeah, I have like, yeah, since like uh, I got to like detach from my feelings and beliefs,
Mm,
I can't like take anything seriously anymore. Like it's um it's not that convincing.
mm,
Nothing is that convincing, right?
mm.
So yeah, it's really nice to have that
Yes.
opportunity. Like I want I just yeah, I don't initiate I won't initiate anything, but I have like suggested to my mother and mom and my sister also, like, have you tried this Sedona method? Because I see people that has like very strong feelings.
Mm.
If they just can like, yeah, detach a little bit, it would be much lighter,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Well, really, all problematic experience, you could say, is through overinvestment in the personal realm, because when if everyone just remains in their infinite impersonal nature, then it's problem free and it's also effortless. So with children, for instance, they haven't created a sort of sense of identity. Well, not
Mm,
until, I don't know, maybe the age of 7 or 8. But
mm,
it's all just very playful, and their main focus is on it just being as much fun as possible. They're not projecting an image of themselves into the
yeah.
world, and it's very it's very kind of tiring in a way to try to maintain a persona, where, when we've created a conceptual identity, which we, if we're trying to portray ourselves in a particular way, oh, I'm this sort of guy, I'm very tough, and I'm nobody messes with me, or whatever it is. It's very hard work to do that.
Yeah.
It's much easier just to be pretty playful, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you'll know. I think one of the things for you is just accepting the clarity and the power that's already there, because you'll already know. If I say to you now, if you take people you know, whether it's your mum, your sister, or friends, you'll
Mm.
already know the ones who would be open and the ones where really you feel as though they're not quite ready, because you know that already.
Yeah.
And that's how you can detect things. And with really, this world has been designed to turn everything upside down. So the example you gave of walking along the path,
Yeah.
that's quite a clear example of the way that system works, where it's trying to it takes something, and then it um, creates a sense of what is the opposite, because
Mm.
that's energetically very draining. And but because you saw that, and because you can sense those invitations as they're delivered, then you don't really take them seriously anymore, and you can just watch them and not personalize them. But with the main thing is really trusting um, your own inner knowing, and trusting that sense of sovereignty, and knowing that whatever you need will come to you, because it will. It'll just come to you effortlessly.
Yeah.
Um, and there doesn't need to be any striving really. And it can just be very magical.
Yeah, I've experienced that, with because I was driving at a moment, before I started seeking, and I was striving a lot to to be successful, I
Mm,
think. Yeah. But now, when I just let it go first, let it, when I just let it go, it just came to me effortlessly. I think I really, I really know that this is this is how it is.
yes, yes.
So
The best things
because
just come.
effort, like striving, that doesn't work.
Mm, yes.
Yeah, and as you said in one of your videos, um, it's not you doing that anyway.
No.
So it's like it's just going its way, and I can be as invested or as careless, or not careless, but um, as
Neutral.
invested or neutral as I want,
Yes.
but it will just happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing that will happen will just happen. So
Yeah.
so so I I will just get out of my own way. Just makes it easier.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. You do. It's very easy speaking with you, because you don't seem to have any issues. Like some conversations, there are certain topics where people, may have some sort of emotional turbulence or predominant invitations, but you seem to just be so clear.
Yeah, I had one conversation with Jakob as well. Like
Oh,
this,
yes. Oh, great. Oh, that's good.
yeah, because I don't have any friends who I can talk about this with,
Hmm.
um, and everyone I tried to tell this to, they were just like, so you sound like you're smoked pot or something. It's like the type of conversations you have. Yeah. So um, yeah, so it was really nice to speak with Jakob because
Mm.
he's very like calm, and it's also easier because it's in Swedish.
Oh, yes, great.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
so Swedish is your first language.
no, it is my second.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Oh,
I came to Sweden when I was 13,
oh, yes.
and then yeah, from Mongolia. So
Oh, yes.
I'm from Ulaanbaatar originally, but I have been living in Sweden like for 17, 18 years. So
Wow.
yeah, so I just like,
So it was much easier with, yeah, that's great.
yeah, it was much easier with him and speaking with him, and he has a lot of clarity as well. So yeah,
Well, there's
it's
clarity in
really
terms,
fun. Yeah.
yes, there's clarity in terms of realization, and also he has quite a good insight into the dualistic realm and the way it works, because the difference between, I'm not sure how far to go with this really, but the difference between the way the world is presented in the sort of mainstream way and the way it is when you understand a bit more and do a little bit of research, is quite a different place, really.
Is it? Okay. Sounds interesting. Yeah.
I thought you may, I thought you may be
As long as there's no ghosts involved, because I'm really
no
afraid
go.
of ghosts. Even though I know that I'm the sovereign being, or like I'm the infinite being, I don't want to have that experience. It's
Well, you know,
just,
with the koshas, you're familiar with the koshas, so
yeah.
um, so it's just knowing that what we're experiencing is a projection of consciousness. So you remain as attributeless being. So attributeless being is really just a field of infinite possibilities. Um, and then the first kosher is the body of bliss. And for you, I think possibly culturally, you're probably really fortunate. With your experience as a child, was it um, quite a settled experience? Did you were your childhood years up until the age of 13, were they quite pleasant?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so yeah, that's a real benefit. And yeah, it's interesting the way things develop, because that stability is just that's really apparent.
Yes, I was with my grandparents,
Mm,
so I grew up with them. My mom left to Europe when I was 3 years old,
yeah.
so I was with my grandparents for
Mm,
like I just called them mom and dad, and
mm,
yeah. So I think that's they're doing actually, because it's
mm.
uh, they were they were given a second chance because they weren't that um, present in their own, like with their own children.
Yes,
And then when me and my sister came along, they did
they had the
it.
experience.
Yeah, they had the experience and they did it better, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's great that they did the training course with your mum first, really.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm fortunate.
Yeah, that's good. Well,
And
that's quite traditional, and it can be very beneficial, kind of being with grandparents, because they tend to be less reactive and much more experienced and balanced. So yeah, that's
yeah, they were really balanced people.
mm, mm.
And uh, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Well, it's a real blessing that you had that experience because um, it was probably quite a timeless experience as well, because Europe is dominated by the dualistic realm, and so people tend to be hurrying. The way society is structured here is based on working hard and being under strain, and society
Mm,
is based on things like childcare and all kinds of things which aren't really conducive to the welfare of children.
mm.
But so you're really lucky to have had that experience.
Yeah, I think I had like the good things from the both worlds because when I came to Sweden and now I'm living here as an adult,
Mm.
it's really quiet and like calm
Yes,
place to live at.
yes.
So 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 I've been um, yeah. So this is really calm and I really enjoy like being at home and
Mm.
having having rest and
Mm.
like being alone. so
Yes.
um, so I enjoyed that more after like
Mm.
more now than before
Yes.
because yeah I feel like because I was like with my friends it was like more of the conversations and the relationship we had was more that I was engaged in their life and trying to like be compassionate and listening to their problems.
Mm.
Um, so it was a lot of things like that, and it just feels like one of the things Eckhart Tolle said, like this is you. How do you say? When someone says what they believe, you just like you just agree with them, and then you say to them what you believe. So it's just like it's what
Yes.
conventional like friendship is called.
Yes.
Um, so it has been like that a lot. So,
Mm.
but now I'm not that interested in that type of relationship because I don't want to have more beliefs.
No, exactly.
yeah. So
Well, you have the ability now to function from impersonal beings. So the way it changes relationships is that rather than it being in the subject-object mode, so rather than showing up as an individual, you're actually showing up as the infinite field of awareness. And and that changes the relationship because rather than seeing the being before you as a separate person, you're seeing it as a form arising within one's consciousness. So it's
yes.
it's unity consciousness then, and so it feels completely different. And also, when we let go of the limitations of those beliefs in duality, um, and the subject object mode, then we can function in a different way where because it is a single field of awareness, when we
Mm.
kind of acknowledge that, then the single field of awareness becomes available to us. So it can be like a shared experience. So as you're describing things, then I'm experiencing them in the way you're describing them. And so it's quite different to the normal mode. As you say, the way Eckhart describes it, people show up with their beliefs and they sort of repeat them to each other and then they leave and it's all over and there isn't much.
Yeah.
But if where there's a sense of unity, it's just a much deeper experience and it feels totally different. And it's knowing that that's available and you can adopt that in any circumstances, any life experience or situation you have, that's available. And it's you're very lucky to have had the motivation. Well, you brought it with you, actually. you came into the dualistic realm um, with the attributes of your infinite nature, and they've just manifested at a particular time. But you're so lucky that you're still so young that it's available to you because, well, as you said earlier, there's the option to be able to fully utilize that knowledge and to integrate it and to be able to share it with others as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It feels important, and yeah.
How do you feel now with
I,
because sorry,
so I was just commenting on. I don't have anything more to say. I think, yeah. Right.
that's good. No,
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you really how because the Sedona method and techniques of releasing and welcoming
Yeah.
are mainly going on the personal level. So they can be a sort of stage of development because if if people are invested in the personal realm and there seem to be emotional or mental issues, then they
Mm.
can be addressed with those techniques. But
Yeah.
actually, what you see from your infinite nature
Mm.
is that they're really only invitations because there is no residue. So there is only there's only the tendency to take delivery of certain frequencies, but because you're the infinite timeless being and you can't ever be anything other than that, to have the idea that there are things which need to be released, we have to accept the idea that we are a separate being.
Okay.
But what's available to you now is seeing that actually the ability just to decline any invitation is always available. So there isn't really anything to be processed because it's just like a delivery. It's like having the TV on or having the radio on or something, and there's a program which is being broadcast, and
Mm.
it may be content that you don't particularly like. Um, and so when you know it's just an invitation, you can just decline the invitation, and you don't need to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like just turning the TV off. But welcoming or releasing in some way is like having it on, and then you're sort of trying to process the content of what's going on in that transmission. But it's only because you've got it on that it's a problem, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't actually know that distinction before, but I think it the clarity came to me like some weeks ago, or like
Great.
recently.
Yes.
And I understand that, because I think that was what Jakub was trying to tell me also. Because when I was mentioning Sedona method, he was trying to say something, but then he didn't. Um, so yeah, so I understand, like, there is no unconscious, no, a subconsciousness that needs to be released,
Process. No.
processed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
it's clear that you already knew that because, well, just because for you to say, well, there isn't anything more for me to say, it's like because there's already the clarity of seeing that you are resting in your infinite, impersonal, effortless, timeless nature. And so then you see what's optional is the personal realm. So you can engage the personal realm, and then sometimes there can be invitations, but there isn't any residue. There's no content there which needs to be processed. But if we're heavily invested in the personal realm and we're heavily conditioned into there, then
Mm.
sometimes the idea of releasing and something, can be beneficial in the short term. It can be temporarily, give temporary relief, but then
Mm.
ultimately, um, as there's total clarity for you, where you just see that um, there is just effortless being, effortless awareness, then you realize, well, actually, I don't need that job of the welcoming and the releasing. And it's really liberating because that again, that can be like a third level because firstly, there can be seeking in the world, then there
Yeah,
can be spiritual seeking, and then there can be the idea, oh, I have all this karma that I don't need to
yeah,
release. And that's like
release.
they're all forms of therefore all forms of job creation, really.
Yeah, creating a lot of um, like things to do,
Yeah.
to do lists.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of hard also like to just hear someone say like, um, oh yeah, you're just a sovereign being, and you you're yeah, you can like accept those like um, accept this reality, or like these concepts is, although it's not a concept, but you can just accept it
Yeah.
without like understanding it.
Yes.
You can do that, but it was like confusing for me to accept it because I was um, after a while, after listening to Eckhart Tolle, I was like, okay, the solution to everything is just stop thinking. So why just stop thinking and everything will be okay? So I think a lot of people have a hard time accepting that fact, or that advice.
Mm.
Of course, it could work, but it's really hard for a person to accept it um, if you don't have the understanding and the seeing.
Mm.
Like, yeah. So I think there has to be some levels, like as you said, like level one, two, three, and the releasing, and then I think when you had some glimpses of like what unity consciousness is, you can accept it more better, like
Yes.
in a better way, because
Yes.
from the beginning you don't understand anything, and then just someone says to you, stop thinking and your problems will disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
doesn't quite work, does it? You say you're the infinite, timeless, omnipotent being, and all you need to do is stop thinking. It doesn't
yeah,
mean much, really, to most people, does it?
yeah,
But yeah, it's good though. Well, but for you, it's been really quick, hasn't it? Because it's only about 18 months probably since you started even any kind of seeking.
yeah,
It's really good.
yeah, I have been like yeah, it's like it's kind of it it is quick, but it feels like I have been like open for this also.
Mm. Yeah.
Like it wasn't that far away from
No,
where
exactly.
I was.
Well, it's really more for you, it's more of an activation, really, rather than a realization, because everything was already there. It's just kind of been unpackaged somehow, because it was
Yeah,
all everything was there, but it just hadn't been activated.
yeah,
But it didn't take long.
yeah. And like a when you're a teenager, you think like I thought that everyone else or anyone knew better. Like I seeked a lot of like new information, or like how should one live their lives, and
Mm.
these types of questions. But at some point I just thought like no one really knows.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, no, you're lucky because culturally you had the stability of a very traditional childhood. And because of that, you already knew what stability was. I think for a lot of people, they have an unstable experience as children. So
Mm.
their seeking has no foundation. Whereas for you, the stability gave you the recognition that nobody really knows. So I'm as well trusting myself rather than listening to anyone else, which is what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah. I'm really glad because yeah, it's yeah, and um your videos with all the questions like on just regular people, it was
Mm,
really nice to hear their like
mm.
questions, and I had a lot of similar questions. Maybe that's why they just dissolved because of watching your videos and everything. So um,
That's great because it's coming it's all happened effortlessly really because there's no motivation to try to promote anything. It's only that there's some resonance and people kind of sense that. But it's the infinite being who's been guiding it all. So that's why there's such a, great range of, of conversations. And but it's quite interesting really with Jakob because he contacted me a while ago because, well, I'm sure he's told you his story, and he had, he's had quite an interesting life, but he has a real feeling of wishing to share this knowledge now, and it's great that I feel really um, well, it's just really inspiring to see the way that you two have had a conversation because that's just come from nowhere, really. Jakob contacted me and said he'd quite like to be able to speak to people and to have, to be having conversations
yeah,
already. And for you to be inspired to contact him, it's great, really. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah, it's really amazing. I enjoyed talking to him very much.
Mm.
Yeah, I just came to me when we were talking about Jakob because he was inspired to go and become a Tibetan monk, right?
Yes.
And that inspiration I had that also when I was a teenager. Actually,
Oh, did you?
I
Wow.
just yeah I just I said like to my best friend at that time, like when I was 15 or 16 or something,
Mm.
I just told her, please, like, give me a slap or something if I'm living a conventional life, because I'm meant to go and become a nun or something,
Wow.
and discover the how do you say discover the truth or something
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that was what I used to say to her. So yeah, it just came to me. So it's not like the spiritualities came from nowhere actually. So
No, it's been there all the time,
yeah,
hasn't it? Yeah.
it's been there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But I'm glad to know that you went for a nice option and, for there to be full realization, living in a family environment, having a really nice husband and child and living in Stockholm is much easier than living in a monastery.
Yeah, I think so. I
And
have
also,
been to India, and yeah, I've
and al-
seen some glimpses of what it would be
what it
like.
could be like, yeah.
Yeah,
But also,
and
you're in a better position now to be able to share the knowledge you have with people who are open to that because you've demonstrated that it's possible for there to be realization as a householder rather than as a monk.
yeah,
And there are many more householders than monks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so nice to talk to you. It's just been like I think you get it a lot. Like it feels like talking to a friend or like someone I have
Mm.
always known,
Yeah, I feel
but someone I can. trust. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's great,
yeah.
Chelsea. Yeah, it's just that it's just the simplicity, really. You realize how simple human relationships can be, um, when it's based on unity rather than duality.
Yeah.
It's just much more, it's just much deeper, really.
Yeah.